In this video, I'm going to give you a crash course in Gimp. Gimp is a free version of Photoshop. I use it all the time, although my Gimp skills are not great. And if you have Photoshop skills or there's something else you like to use, that's fine. But I'm going to just giving you this tutorial. If you're here at TCD and you need, or you've got Gimp at home and you just need enough Gimp knowledge to get through the process of making an Apple II title screen, that's what this video is for. So I've opened up Gimp here. Depending on what version you have, your interface may look a little different. They've changed it in the last, looks like in the last release. Now let me make a new image here, and it's going to have a particular size. It's going to be 280 by 192. So let me go to the File menu, and I'm going to select New. And for the image size, I'm going to type in 280 and 192, and I'm not going to change any of the other default options. I'm just going to click OK. All right, now that is a really tiny image, but if I hold down the Control key while I scroll the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and out. That might make my life just a little bit easier. So let's take a look at what we've got here. We've got our toolbar on the left, we've got some tool options here on the right, and we've got our layers down here on the bottom right. If you don't have these windows or you close them by accident, you can always bring them back up using the dockable dialogues menu options up here. So under Windows Dockable Dialogues, you can bring up that stuff. Okay, so I happen to have a black background. I kind of like it that way, but what if the thing had been some other color? What if it had been white? How would I have fixed that? Well, I can pick a foreground and background color here using these little color pickers. So, and I can switch the foreground and the background using this little arrow. So let's say if I see, I can click, 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 right? So I'm going to make black the foreground color and then select the paint bucket tool and bucket fill my background. If I'm just playing around with how would different layers look, I can toggle the layers on and off using the eyeball next to the layers. So now I have just a solid black background layer there. All right, let me put in some text. So let me click on the text tool here, and let's say I want to draw in white. So let me flip my foreground and background color using the little arrow, make it white. And I've noticed sometimes for me, the default size ends up being ridiculous. It's like 180 point font or something, and that's way too big. So, generally you want something like 16 to 24, I found is good. And if you want to scroll through the different fonts, hover the mouse over this little icon and you can scroll with the wheel. And we can actually do some cool trick over here where we can see how different fonts would look. So I'm going to click on my my image here, and I'm going to type in Treasure Quest. All right, so that's the name of my, I almost misspelled it again, Treasure Quest. And I can see how different fonts would look if I hold down the Control key here and scroll over that text icon. So I can kind of find a font that I think looks good without having to, maybe, well, it makes it reasonably easy to find a font that looks good. There was some Britannica thing that I thought looked kind of good. All right, don't go down the obsessive art rabbit hole, Evan. Hold it together here. All right. All right. No, I have to find a font I like. Okay, I'll go with Britannic Bold here. And let me highlight these letters and then let me bump them up just a little bit. There we go. Now, if I wanted to reposition this text, I can use the Move tool. The Move tool is the four-way arrow up here at the left. Now here's something that's really irritating. If you want to move a layer, you have to click on a solid part of that layer. So I can move this around. But if I clicked on a blank area, so then it moves the layer underneath it, right? So that's aggravating. So let's just click on that thing, put it where you want it to go. All right, looks good. Let's put some other text layers on here. I'll click on the text tool again. Maybe I'll go with a smaller point size. I'll go with like 18. I'll click at the bottom, press any key to continue. There we go. All right, and then maybe I'll put my name on here. Maybe I want to move that layer over a little bit. There we go. I'll put my name on here. So I'm going to click on the text tool, and Evan 2020 or something. You know, that's too big. Let's shrink that down. So I'm going to click and highlight all those letters, and I'm going to bump that text size down a little bit, and then let me reposition it. So I'll click on the move tool, and then I have to click on a solid piece of that, and there we go. So that's looking pretty good. All right, now let's get some clip art in here. I found an image of a treasure chest that I like, and I'm going to put that in here. So to bring in some clip art as a layer, okay, actually look at all the layers we have now. Now we've got our background layer plus 3 text layers, right? And if I just wanted to see, well, what would it look like without my name on there, you know, or without that on there, I can toggle that on and off. And you can stack layers on top of each other. You can take these layers and reorder them. And we should be able to. I'm not sure what. Oh, I think that's what the, yeah, so that's what these arrows down here are for. They are for moving, stacking the layers on top of each other, changing the stack order. All right, let's go bring in some clip art. That I can do using the File menu. And I'm going to say Open as Layers. This is going to import, it's going to open up a file, but it's not going to make it a new image. It's going to make it a layer in this image. So I'll say Open as Layers. And I've got okay, I've got a treasure chest icon that I like here. This is some clip art. It's relatively small. If you're going to bring stuff into your project, it really helps if the image that you're bringing in is small, because if you have something that's like 3,000 by 2,000 and you scale it down to this tiny size, it's not gonna look good. So I went with some clip art that was already pretty small. So I'm gonna select this and open it. And I'm just gonna click, yeah, sure, convert, whatever. I don't really know if that's gonna work or not. All right, so what I've got here now is this clip art that I brought in is much bigger than the actual image itself, so I need to shrink it down. And I can do that. Let's look at the layer menu here. Do we have layer? I know there's a way to scale stuff. No, scale layer. There it is, scale layer. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball this. I mean, from experimentation, I think I know that about 30% is gonna work here. So I'm gonna say scale this down to 30. Well, I guess that, okay. So I click one and the other one went with it because I've got the little chain thing. So I'm gonna say scale that 30%, and that looks pretty good. Let me kind of move that down just a little bit. All right, now, how do I get rid of that white around the treasure chest? If this is the thing where I would say, okay, use the magic wand tool. That would work great, except you're like, where's the magic wand tool? Okay, so when you start up Gimp, you will actually, this is what happens to me. I get these icons and I get this thing right here. I don't know what this is, the 3 dots in the box. If you click on the little arrow under it, you can get the fuzzy select tool, and the fuzzy select tool will grab areas that have adjacent colors that are the same, and that's kind of what you want here. The other one here is select by color. That's like if you want to get all the red out of an image or something. If an image has a red background and you want to get rid of all the red, that's what you could do. Select all the red, then hit delete. But I want the fuzzy select tool or the magic wand tool, and I'm going to click on. I'm going to make sure my chest layer is selected here, and I'm going to click on the white. And what it did was it just selected all the white around the box, and I'm going to hit delete here. And now that is all gone. All right, so now I've got just that little bit of text down there at the bottom. Let's get rid of that. So I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to select, I'll use the rectangular select tool here. I'll just highlight that and hit delete, and it's gone. Okay. So there's that. So, you know, sometimes if you have an area of the screen selected and you try to draw over here, nothing shows up. It's because you have the wrong thing selected sometimes, and you can actually come up here and say select none, and that will fix your problem if you try to to draw something. You're trying to draw and it doesn't show up, try select none. That usually seems to fix the problem. Okay, so now I've got an image here that looks pretty good. Now, now I need to get this thing down into the black and white color palette. I need to reduce the color palette down to just one bit color, black or white. And I can do that using, now if you went to the colors menu and thought, oh, I'll do it there, you'd be wrong. You want to go to image and go down to mode. And for the color mode, image mode, select indexed. And you want to select use black and white 1-bit palette. So you want index colors 1-bit palette and click convert. There we go. So your image you might lose a little bit of resolution there, but what are you going to do? Okay, and then now we're done with our art. Now we just need to export this. So I'm going to save my project here. So before I do anything else, I'm just going to save my project file. I'll just leave it as untitled. So an XCF file, that's what I just saved. I just saved it untitled.xcf. That's a Gimp project file. What I need to do is export this out as a Windows bitmap. Because I've got a tool that will take the bitmap and convert it to an Apple II format. So to do that, we can just go to the File menu and select Export As. And we can, let's put in here, or I'll keep that, Treasure Quest Title .bmp. You want the .bmp. That's gonna save it as a Windows bitmap file. So Treasure Quest title.bmp, and I'm going to export it. I'll say yes, sure, whatever. Gimp message could not, permission denied. Oh, you're going to be a jerk. Treasure Quest title 2.bitmap. All right, there we go. So I've now saved this thing out as a monochrome bitmap. All right. Now the next step is how do you get this into your game? There's another video that shows you how to do that. But what the heck, recording time is cheap. Let's go do that. So what you need to do now is find the utility that converts a Windows bitmap to an Apple II screen format file. That utility is in the folder where you installed Lantern. So I'm going to go find that. Okay, so here it is. So wherever you installed Lantern, you will find this thing, bitmap to Apple II. This is in your Lantern install folder. Open that up. Hit File, Open Bitmap. There you go. There's our title screen, Treasure Quest, press any key to continue. And now let's save it as Treasure Quest, I'll call it Treasure Quest Title 2.a2s. I want to leave the A2s extension on there. And click Save. All right, so we're done. Now in Lantern, I should be able to go select that file. So here I am in Lantern, and under Apple IIe options, I'm going to go select the title screen. So let me click on Select Title, and now I'm going to go browse out to that file, that A2S file that I just created, and click Open. And you can see there's our Treasure Quest Title 2 A2S file. There's our title screen. Now I'm just to prove to you that it works, I'm going to build it. Now, if you're trying to build at home, this may not work. You need the Java runtime environment installed. There we go. Okay. All right. So there's save it as adventure.bin. No, adventure.bin. Brun adventure.bin. Treasure Quest. There it is. Beautiful. All right. Then hit any key. Now you're playing your game. All right. Well, I am no Gimp expert, but I know enough to get through this project, and now hopefully after this video, you have enough Gimp knowledge to get through this project.